You're very welcome back, Minister. Minister, I fully support this legislation, which together with the Land Development Agency Bill will provide much needed social and affordable housing for both purchase and rent in this state. Minister, most modest earners are locked out of the housing market. They don't earn enough that 3.5 times their salary will yield them a mortgage to buy them a property, yet perversely they can pay 40% or more of their wages in salaries in rent. This group are living with their parents and trying to save. In my own home constituency of Dublin South Central, there are families with 2 and 3 of their adult children, and in some cases, along with their partners, living with them under the parents' roof while they save as much as they can for a deposit. Couples are delaying the start of their families due to the costs of providing housing. They can't afford it. Having affordable rental in the form of long-term tenure in the cost rental dwellings planned and assistance in purchase either through the shared equity scheme or local authority affordable purchase schemes is a real welcome development, and I congratulate you for it. Some in this House don't believe in home ownership. Some believe that rentals should be cross-subsidised by further taxing those already priced out of the market, the so-called squeezed middle. Some believe that the cost rental should include those who have the option of accessing social housing, even though that would mean diluting the provision for those who would never qualify for social housing but can't buy either. I believe in mixed tenure in all developments. It's good for everyone and brings equality for everyone to share their communities. I do hear and echo some of the concerns of communities such as Drimnagh that the building proposed in their areas are cost rental only or of particularly one tenure, and that may lend itself to a transitory population who are not invested in the communities long term. So I urge you, Minister, to ensure that that won't be the case through incentives and regulations, and I know that you have already considered that. And also we need to ensure that there are infrastructural provisions in place. Another issue that I've come across is that of the current provisions for creches in the build of a ratio of 1 creche for every 75 dwelling places, which is a great idea, but in reality it isn't working. A recent application for a development in Crumlin, which obtained planning permission, exempted itself on the basis that there were adequate provisions for creches in the area, just because the creches were geographically proximate. There is no obligation to assess the length of waiting list or the adequacy of provision. So I think that that's something that could be tightened up in part of what is a great move and a great initiative in these two bills towards a real quality of life and quality of living. Minister, I really want to support the shared equity scheme in this bill. I was one of the people who got a foot on the property ladder as a result of the shared ownership scheme, and I was very glad to apply for it. I got my loan approval while working in the voluntary sector, and then what was a very paltry wages. And the week I got my loan approval, you could have bought a 2-bedroomed house in Crumlin. Within a fortnight, all I could afford was a 1-bedroom apartment off James's Street due to the speed that house prices were rising at that time. But I was really delighted to have my apartment, and it made a very fine first-time home. But by the time it came to a full family home, we were part of the Celtic Tiger refugees that left Dublin and went down to Kildare, which was very fine. But we had a 3-hour-a-day round trip, and I was very fortunate that my family circumstances with my parents permitted the opportunity to combine our 2 homes so that I could move back to Dublin. We were lucky. Many have not been so lucky, and as a barrister working pro bono, I've represented them. Many have lost their homes, and my own role was to try and get a stay on the execution of their time in their home to facilitate leaving cert or facilitate as they were obliged to move out. They get a chance to be first-time buyers again, I believe, Minister, and they should. And I appeal to you to make sure they're included when you're making your provisions here. In today's papers, we saw reports that young people exiting care of the state need longer and more secure tenure. And Minister, I believe in supported sheltered housing projects, once termed FOIA projects, that they have a real role in that care and also in care for the homeless. I have been involved in building them, and I built one project with 55 independent units with own door accommodation with supported structures. It's now currently run by the DePaul. So foyer projects could be a game changer in homelessness. So I'd urge you, Minister, to look at that again, and people like Brendan Kenny are very much disposed to it. It's a great. And just to complete, Minister, congratulations. I think you're doing a really fine job. I also want to thank you for your presentation to the party, to our parliamentary party last week. You were very warmly welcomed, and it was a real honour to have you there and to hear how much you listened to us, and a real symbol of our parties moving forward in our determination and commitment to solve this housing problem. Thank you.